Hello and welcome back to Stand Up Your Tubes, where we control the tubes and the tubes never control us. So for this project, it is a quickie. I thought it would be really fun to take a basic, boring black clock, and it comes in this box. It's a digital clock from Amazon. It's a Christmas clock, so because it's January, the first week of January 2025, it's 40% off, which makes it $5.99. So I ordered two of them because I thought surely I can do something fun with it. This clock has a big button across the top that is for the snooze and the light. And so I thought, wouldn't it be cute if it was a creature? So what I came up with is this. And it is just so cute. It is a creature, just adorable. All the buttons are exposed in the back, so we can get to everything we need to get to. And it runs on 3 AAA batteries. It is just so cute. And we could just reach right up here, turn the light on to see what time it is, or turn off the alarm. And it's going to go off at 6 o'clock in the morning. So it'll be my first test of this adorable clock. So I hope you'll stay tuned and watch the tutorial because it is so easy. We're talking 3 tubes, a pom-pom face, great big eyes, and an interesting way to make the ears. And they're so nicely shaped. They have something inside there. It's the easiest ear I've ever made. So I hope you'll stay tuned and watch the tutorial, that you'll like and subscribe and come back to Margaret's house, stand up your tubes, and see what new videos we're posting, one pretty much every week. And here it is again. Little pom-pom feet. Just sits so nice. It's adorable. Thank you very much. So let's talk about how we're going to make an ordinary clock look adorable. So this digital clock I got off Amazon, and I liked it because it was 40% off, which made it a $5.99. It tells the time, it has an alarm, it also has the date and the temperature, which all of a sudden went to Celsius while I was messing around with it, but Fahrenheit and Celsius. It's easy to set, and I will give you the link. And then we're going to make a tube, and this is some Hobby Lobby yarn. I love this yarn, and it says print on it. I don't know if that's part of it, but the color is what does that say? I had to put my reading glasses on. It's Spun Sugar Stripe. It looks like this. And this one, it's cranked out on the 22 pin, and this project will all be on the 22 pin. So this is going to wrap the alarm clock. And it is 60 rows. And I don't know if you're using a Red Heart Super Saver, which is way less stretchy, I would add 5 rows, where this one is 60. If I was using a Red Heart, which is not as soft, it's stiffer, definitely go with 65. But this is going to wrap the clock. And because this particular clock has this big snooze button and light button on the top, it makes it really easy to wrap it and still so easily click it, which is a plus plus. So what I did with the end of the tube is just cinch it up, not super, super tight, just snugging it and put a couple knots in each end. And then just to get it started, I'm going to tie these 2 ends together in a bow. I'm happy with the fit, so I went from a bow to a knot. I took it off of the clock and knotted it, and I'm just going to whip stitch this together. all the way across just to make this a solid tube going around. And this is where the head will go on and will never show. So just whip stitching it is good enough. And I'm going to just go all the way across and then just bury my yarn tails. For the head, I used this yarn, and I get it off of Amazon, 2 skeins for right at $10, $9.99. I get free shipping because I buy so much. So it's a real bargain for me to get 2 skeins for $10 because I don't have to drive to another city to go to Hobby Lobby. And their yarn, if I were to use the Yarn Beef Fur the Moment, is very comparable to the Amazon, and it is 30% off every other week. So cheaper, a little bit cheaper than the Amazon, but when I put my gas money into it, it's a wash for me. And the Amazon has so many more colors. So how are we going to make this adorable little head? So we're going to make a tube using this fur yarn, any color that you like, and it's going to sit up here on top of this little clock, and we're going to just turn this into something that I think would delight a child. So the way we're going to do it is cast on with a 4-ply and go 1 row, and then tie on your fur yarn and crank around till you've completed your 27th row, and then just cast off. So we're saving some yarn on the one end and not worrying about it on the other. So on the part of the tube that we use the 4-ply, we're just going to stretch it out, whip stitch it closed, and then a unique way that I made the ear this time is just something that came to me. I wanted it to have a really cute shape, so I got these spoons. They're just plastic. I can use my scissors to just easily cut off the end. And after I whip stitched the top of this closed, I just pushed the spoon up into the points, and I didn't even sew it. I just took a piece of my yarn and just tied it around the spoon, and then got it nice and tight so the spoon can't slip back down, and then just buried my yarn tails, tied a nice little knot in there, and got these adorable little ears. So basically just whip stitching the top of this tube closed, making sure it stays nice and wide, putting the spoons up there, tying it off, and then stuffing it out and placing our eyes. And the eyes I'm using are 25mm. You can use your favorite eyes, but these are 25. I'll give you the link off Amazon. I like them because they have these different colors, rings that go behind it and then shine through. I also like the really big backing because I know that it's not going to pull through any of my stitches, unlike the little tiny backings on the smaller eyes. So after you have your ears into the corners and tied it, then you'll position your eyes. And I just centered mine up in my ears, and I had it stuffed enough that I could tell where I wanted it to be. And then when I had enough stuffing in there, I closed the bottom up, just pulling the yarn, tying it off, and taking the yarn to the inside. And then just my pom-poms were next. And it's just the easiest way to make a face. I got my black pom-pom, put it on for the nose, got my 2 big white pom-poms, and just glued them right here. And then opened it up, put 1 little spot of glue into the triangle, and pushed them together. And it looks like this. So quick, so easy. And then that little head can come right up here on our alarm clock. We need a tail, so we'll do the tail next. I wanted to show you the size of the pom-poms that I used, and they're this size right here, and how I just wedged them together to make the top part of the nose and the cheeks. So they're this size right here. And something that I wanted to add using my little black Pom Pom was to go ahead and glue on the little lower lip. And I'm kind of basing this on my schnoodle because she has black and white fur. She's not green, but she looks a little bit like this in the face with the little dark nose, white around her snout, little black dark bottom lip. And so now we have our complete little face, and it's going to go up on top of our clock, kind of looking at us. I think that that would be adorable. We could still easily get to the switch up there that turns on the light. And we're going to use big black Pom Pom feet underneath and glue them on at the front and the back, so it'll look like this. That's what it's going to sit on, so we can go ahead and do that while we have our glue gun heated up. I'm using the same size Pom Pom, the nice big ones. Less glue is always best. Less is best. I'm going to put the first little foot on. Might as well just turn it upside down. Needs a second foot. Two more feet. It's easier to go back and add a tiny bit of glue than it is to have too much glue that comes to the surface and makes it hard. Okay, now we have our little feet. Pause. An adorable little head to go on. This is just too cute. And we need our tail now. So we have our head ready to go on. And now we need a tail. So what I did for the tail, I wanted to have a little pom-pom on the end, and I've done this on other tails, and it turns out really well. So for the tail, it's going to be 27 rows. So I cast on with 4-ply, do 1 row, tie on my fur, crank till I have finished 5 rows, and then tie my 4-ply back on, which is this, and crank until I have 27 rows. And then make sure that where you went from your fur yarn to your 4-ply at the beginning and here, that you've tied your knots so it's secure. And we'll just use the right side, and the fur will just kind of roll up, and we're going to narrow this tail down by cinching up the end. We'll put a little knot here, then we're going to roll it to the inside like this. But instead of just mattress stitching right here and having a fat tail, let me pause and get my needle threaded up. Okay, so I zoomed in a little bit. So normally we would bring these two ends together and mattress stitch, but to narrow the tail down, let's go over a row, and these happen to be the points facing this way. And then come down over onto this side and find our row that have the points going the same way and go under the 2 bars. We're mattress stitching, but we're not doing it right on the edge. Now I'm coming back to this row, and I can see it very easily where it is. Coming over here and getting 2 bars on this side, 2 bars over here. Not hard at all to see the row. I'm working with pretty short yarn, so I will have to pull it here in just a minute, and I'll show you how it cinches it up. Okay, so we'll pull it, and it just rolls that in and makes it a nice narrow tail instead of a tail that's fat. It's thinner, and it actually stuffs itself. So I'm going to mattress stitch all the way up to where the fur begins, and here are my yarn tails. I want to make them go to the inside. I'm going to keep it narrow, and when I get up to my green yarn, I'll just let it just fan out and make a pom-pom. It's rolling to the outside because truly it goes in if we were to, do this, but it's naturally all on its own wanting to roll up and make that cute pom-pom. So I'm going to keep narrowing it down till I get to the end, and then I'll tie a knot and I'll come back on. All the way up to here, and I haven't tied a knot because this is where we can decide if we want our tail to have some personality. And we do that just by pulling on the cord that we mattress stitched with and getting the curve going. So I'm going to zoom the camera back out so it's not so close in, and we'll attach the head. Okay, so I don't know about you, but I definitely want the little face to be looking the same direction. A little bit of a cockiness. Here's where our button is, right here. So we want to keep that free. It's going to be on the curve right here. More up here than on the curve, but angled just a little bit like this. It's going to be so cute. So I have my needle and thread, and I'm going to just sew all the way around. If you want to go around twice, that's your choice, just so it's nice and secure and isn't wobbling. A little bit of a spoiler alert. I'm just letting the head rock back, and you can see my stitches here. And then I'll snug them up in a minute. It's easier that way. So I'm just coming on to the tube that came up this way so that I'm sewing the head over that seam. Just coming up under the neck and catching it. If you get into the mesh on that fur yarn, it's hard to pull the needle through. You can do it, and here I'm in it right now. Okay, so I'm going to hold on to my original yarn tail here and pull it both directions, and that's getting my head secured. So cute. I'm going to finish going on around. I have my head on, and now I'm just flipping it over and securing the feet, starting them up, gluing them together right here in the middle. Better. You can always add a little glue, but you can't take it away. So you could just leave your glue gun plugged in until you're sure you're happy with everything. So before you decide that you're finished with your head, make sure that it's enough up onto the clock that it's not going to tip it over. So if you got it too far down onto the tube, it's going to want to tip it. So that's why I said just right here where we sewed it together, right up on the corner. My head is perched this way, so it looks like this, and it's sitting really nicely. So I'm going to just put a couple more stitches right up on this cheek right here, just to make sure my head doesn't want to flop down that way, and to keep it up. I can still get to that button. Tying my ends nice and secure, doing a nice triple knot, making sure that I really snugged up the stitching around the neck, and bury the yarn tail. It's just such a cute little look. Who wants to have a boring old clock when we can have one that looks like a creature? So I'm just going to bring it out, my yarn tail out on the other side of the head, and snip off the yarn ends. I also have my instructions right here that I'm going to slip in on the bottom of the tube. So it'll be there for me or for whoever gets this. We can get to all the buttons on the back. So cute. Looks like this. And now we need our tail. So decide if you want it to curve. And if you do, then you'll pull on this mattress stitch cord. So if I were to put it on right now, it would curve up like this and be a pretty cute look, wouldn't it? So that's probably what I'll do. Maybe just give it a little bit more of a snug, because I think the yarn could stretch, and knot it down at the end right down here. And bury my yarn tail. And the other yarn tails that were on the Pom Pom, remember we just buried them down inside the tube. Just like this. And now we'll sew it on so it looks cute. Like this. Decide how you want it to go. I think that's a cute look. So that's where I'm going to sew mine on, right here on the corner. And the whole time I sewed my head on, I was going through both layers of the tube just to get a better hold on it. So I was actually feeling the plastic of the clock on my needle. Doing the same thing with the tail. So just go all the way around and then use your yarn tail to tie off to. And I'll join you back when I've gone around. Okay, it's about to wrap this up. So I did one more thing, and this is already glued on. I made eyelashes, totally optional, but it's just such a cute look. So when you cut them out, take your felt, fold it over, and cut it all at once. So you have a left and a right. And I just take my eye and just eyeball it. So I'm cutting it up, and I end up with a shape like this that will wrap around my eye. And I just run a little bead of glue. I put my reading glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. Really thin. I want to get the fur back off that eye, and I'm just going to put a little thin, really thin little bead coming along here. Stringing it out so it doesn't get thick. Okay. And I'm just going to put it right onto the fur part, not so much on my plastic eye as onto the fur. And I'll just take a little bobby pin and get it into place, push it down. And I now have some cute little eyelashes. Just like that. Totally optional. If you don't feel comfortable when your project is this far done, gluing it on and maybe being worried that you'll mess it up, then just skip that part. But we have a really adorable little clock here, and then I have some two-sided tape. You could, to secure this tube so it's not slipping and keep your head up onto the top enough that it's going to be really sturdy, you could lift it up and not get on your button. You don't want to get on that, but you could put a couple little beads of glue up around this neck. But I think I'd rather use my double-sided tape. And just roll this back a little bit. Put my tape right up here on this edge. I'm going to do it on the front and the back, and my button is right there in between. Want to keep the button free. And I've used the double-sided tape, and it seems to hold pretty well to the yarn, so I'm going to just peel off the backing and put it back into position. And when I reposition it, make sure I have that head high enough up onto the body that it balances. I don't want it to be too far this way so that it's tipping the clock. So keeping that in mind, bringing this head back up. Well, it just totally came out. So let me get my instructions out and get the tube back on. There we go. Still, now I have to roll it this way some. I have my feet not lined up. There we go. We'll see if that tape seems to hold good enough. If it doesn't, I'll go back with a couple little beads of glue. So let's see how it worked. Not so sure. I think I am going to just roll this back and put a little bead of glue right here. And do the same thing on this side. Keep the body from shifting around. Just strung some glue out over the face of my clock here. I hope that comes off. Okay. There it is. Cute as it can be. Really adorable. I don't know how we could possibly want to have a clock that's not a creature. Okay, so I'm going to film the beginning now that I have something to film, because this was a prototype the whole way through. I just knew it would work, and it is adorable. So I hope you'll like, subscribe, and actually watch the tutorial and help Margaret's House grow by getting the subscribers and watch time hours that we need to be funded by YouTube, because they are going to play the commercials whether we're funded or not. So that's my dream, is to have Margaret's House get funded, because they are supported by donations only. There are no grants, no government funds, strictly donations. So thank you so much, and God bless you.